What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlevich.
Welcome. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease, and today our show is creation or stagnation. How much do you come alive when you create? What if creation is a force that and a choice that can change everything in our lives? So I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich for you guys who are new to my show. I am a medical doctor, family practice, who had practiced, I was born in Russia, came to US when I was a kid, went to medical school and became a doctor, practiced for 10 years, only to find that a lot of times when I create, like I created my practice, but at a certain point it went into stagnation because I wasn't in the creative edge of that. It was more about the stress. It was more about every day being the same and dealing with problems instead of continuing creation. So I ended up with open heart surgery, quit medicine, and started looking for different ways of helping people. And now being facilitator of access consciousness, being a founder and teacher of Akashic Records, and having a school, I travel around the world, teach people, facilitate classes, and allow them to change their lives so they can be happier. What if it is your choice, create or stagnate? Let's talk about it. Let's play with the ideas. Let's play with the tools of access consciousness that is allowing us to change our lives, to change what's going on in every aspect of our lives. Money, health, relationships. I just finished a wonderful marathon on money in Russian language, which we were looking at stuff that blocks the money. But part of it was not just money. Our point of view creates our reality. And we talk about it a lot in the shows. And if you're interested, we can create more with everything that been going on. So what if it's not a wrongness to be with everything in our lives? What if nothing is wrong? What if nothing is right? What if everything is just a judgment? And what all we have is creation. Because look at our lives. Look at every day. When you're creating something, when you're being and doing and happy and everything flows, you are happy. You are joyful. What happens when you stop creating, when you're bored, when you are in that space of stress, everything that frantic, but not from creation frantic, but from problems frantic? That's what I call stagnation. That's what creates health issues. That's what creates everything that's not allowing us to be us. So how do we change that? How do we get out of it and create something different? Let's play with couple of tools of access consciousness. And you've heard me talking about light and heavy. Whatever is true for you, it's light. Whatever is heavy is a lie. Even those concepts that we are going to be talking today about, creation or stagnation. Let's look at the energy of the words. Creation. Does it feel light? Yeah, it feels very light and expanding. When I say stagnation, it's like, ooh, it contracts you, it limits you. Yeah, that's not pleasant, is it? So, what if creation and stagnation are just opposites of each other? What if we don't create? We actually stagnate. And that's the biggest lie. What if we never can stagnate? What if we never get bored? What if we continue creation? One of the ways to look at the world is, or at people, that there are different types of people. There are people who, well, we talk about ADD, ADHD, autistic. What if it's not a wrongness with those people? What if it's progression of our like mutation into something different, something greater? And a lot of like greatest creators are a little ADT. How many of you who are listening right now get distracted by a shining ball? And by shining ball, I'm talking about, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is interesting. And then people say you don't accomplish anything because you're being distracted by different things. So what if it's not a wrongness? What if a lot of us just require more things in our lives? What if it's just we need to add things, not to subtract? When I was growing up, my grandma always was telling me, you have to focus. That was the biggest lie there was. Because for me to create, I need multiple things on my plate. That's when I'm happy. That's when I create. And that's when things go my way. With everything that's in our lives, what if it's true? I had to do my homework with TV on, at that time, radio blasting, because in Russia, there was no computers. Well, there was no computers at that time, or at least not for everyday use. I'm a little older than I look. And yeah, we're ADDD, dedicated dream developer. That's another way of looking at it. And in order for us to develop those dreams, what do we need? We need action. And by action, I don't mean doing, because a lot of doing is reactive doing. And a lot of it is stagnation, because that's doing from reaction, that's doing from almost like autopilot. How many of us are in the autopilot of doing that's not creating anything? It's just doodle pretty much. And it's like being on a treadmill, moving in place, not moving forward. What if we get off the treadmill? What if we actually start creating based on what we desire? And because creation is actually a choice, it's not doing. Creation, and I'll say it again, creation is a choice, not doing. It's being. When we be and when we act, and acting can look totally different than what we used to. The functioning from being is space. It's being that expansion of all the possibility, infinite possibility of creation. Let's play with expansion right now. Let's look at what is. Let's drop our barriers for a second and expand. How much of that is space? And when we create with space, it's totally easy. Totally spacious. Totally being. What if we are being that space? We start create. How much of that is our not willing to be? That creates a stagnation. It's almost like counterproductive. Everything is opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is different because what we think of doing and create, well, actually, backtrack. What we think about creation, this reality teaches us that we have to do. This is total lie because creation is the energy of the dreamer. We create from choice. We create by being. And then we can generate from action. We can generate our, what we call the generative energy or generative ideas, is implementing it is into this reality. What if it's that simple? You choose something, you start generate, and then you implement. Each one has a different energy to it. And when we use those, there is no stagnation. It's time for our first break of the show. And when we return, we'll talk more about those three energies of generation, creation, and implementation. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Inspired Choices Network. We will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease on Inspired Choices Network. And today our show topic is creation or stagnation. And before we went on the break, we talked a little bit about what if it is a choice to create or stagnate. And also we talk a little bit about the tools of light and heavy, creating from space, and the three different energy of creation, generation, and institution of any idea that we have. But the main one is choice. When we choose, we start creating. If we don't choose, no matter how much we say we create, there is no creation. And choice is not a decision. It's so different. It's like, oh, I am going to create this. It's not a choice. It's a decision. And decision a lot of time closes off all the generative energies. It pretty much a conclusion that if nothing that match that judgment can come in to the creation of whatever we desire. And it doesn't matter what we create. If we create money, health, relationships, it doesn't matter what sphere of life are we talking about. If we made a decision, a lot of times it's harder to create because we already decided how it will look like. The universe might have a totally different idea. A lot of times it doesn't look what we expect it to look when we create something, and it might be greater, but we already have an idea, we already have a point of view, and totally lock and block everything that we could have created. But it's not going to create itself. And I'm saying create itself because a lot of it is created by the universe, by quantum entanglements, by everything that contributes to us and everybody that contributes to us. But no, we've decided we are going to do it this way. We've decided that we're going to create that. But what if that can be something different? What if that can be more expanding? What if that could be space? How much more can we create from that and from a choice like, oh, I'll have that? Much different, much easier. And it allows us to create from space, from being not from the points of view we have. Because points of view are just that, point of view. We can look at things from one perspective, and we talk a lot in different shows, and you can look at the archive where we talk about points of view. Because points of view are just judgments. Could be ours, could be somebody else's. But if we use them, it's like looking through the pinholes or looking through with the blinders, like the horses when they run. Yeah, horses sometimes win if they have blinders on. But are we horses? Number one. Number two, did you see those horses after the race? They're exhausted because they don't have all the awareness. Some of them get anxiety because they don't see everything. The horse has to be aware of the surrounding as much as we are. But no, we put the blinders on them so they don't get distracted and they focus and they come to the goal. And then that's it. They created one thing. They won. Maybe that's okay for you. But is it okay to have just one purpose, one goal? And by the way, the goal actually original meaning. We talk a lot about words and their original meanings because that's how we create our lives. Goal is actually a jail. It's a cage. And you can recognize the remnants of the energy when you watch soccer or hockey. You see the cage. And what does that cage is? That's the goal. Easy. Easy to recognize that. And what if we have targets for our creation? Because if you achieve the goal, there is nothing else to achieve. Yeah, you can shoot that puck every single time into that goal, but are you actually moving forward? Are you creating your life? Or is that an example of stagnation? Do you get bored with the same things over and over again? Yeah, I do. I don't like doing the same things. And by the way, that's a definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's a definition by Einstein. That's a definition of insanity. What if we stop being insane? What if we walk away from the goal and start practicing targets, target shooting? How much more fun is that? Yeah, you can hit the same target over and over again, but then the target can be moved. You can split the arrow like Robin Hood did. What if creation is just that? Different targets. Would that create stagnation? No. You have different targets. There is no stagnation because there is a movement. If think about water, rivers, waterfalls, lakes, and swamps. Where is stagnation? In a swamp, because the water is not moving. It's still. In a lake, there is still some movement. There are animals, there are fishes, there's some movement. And lake is kind of like created by the rivers, but the swamp doesn't have a river in there. There is no movement. That's why there is a stagnation. And oh boy, does that stink. Have you ever been in the swamps? Some of the swamps are amazing. They're beautiful, they're magical, miraculous. And there are certain swamps when there is a lot of mosquitoes and there is a lot of stagnation, a lot of mold, a lot of like, ugh. Would you like your life to look like a swamp or a river or a waterfall? I prefer river and waterfall. It's much cleaner, easier to drink from. It's easier to enjoy the view. How much we are resisting being the rivers, to have our life as the river that flows. How much we are putting the stones and dams to stop the flow. I'm talking about problems. How many of you create problems so you stop the flow of creation, that you stop the flow of the river? What if you start removing the stones, start opening the dam, and allow the flow to move? How much your life would be different? How much you can create more? Because the river, when it flows, eventually will erode all those stones, all those problems. Eventually you'll solve them. But how much effort does that create in your life when you have so many problems to solve? So what if creation is just moving with the flow of your river, the river of your life? How much easier that would be? How much more can you receive? But in order to do that, we actually have to stop judging. And that's a key. Judgment is the one that stops the flow. The judgment of right, the judgments of wrong, the judgments of good, the judgments of bad. Everything we do in our lives seems to be judged either by us or others. Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. What if we be the consciousness of our lives? What if we allow ourselves not to react to judgments and start creating our lives. Because the best antidote to judgment, you know what? The best antidote to judgment is creation. Out creating those people that judge you. What if it was that simple? What if you create more money, amazing relationship that's nurturing for you, create your life beyond your wildest dreams? Would the judgment matter to you? Would you actually react to judgment, to people who are not as creative as you? How much fun can you have in life if you actually concentrated on the fun part, the joy part, the creation part, and not on the judgments of others or your own judgments? What if it's that simple? How much more fun would you have if you start creating from the space of fun and joy? It's interesting because a lot of people create from necessity. I know I have done that, guilty as charged. Both hands up, both feet up. I've done that. I have to do this, I have to do that. Did it actually create anything? No. It stopped the creation. I had a class in Italy a few years ago, and a girl who was helping me to create it, my host, called me up and said, I'm so tired. I cannot do marketing. I cannot do that. I'm just too tired. And I'm like, okay, let's look at the energy, because the energy was there that the class, she wanted to cancel the class basically. And that was a month before, and the energy was kind of like a little stagnant. So what I chose, I started asking her questions. It's like, wait a second. Are you pushing yourself to create? She's like, yeah, I'm pushing. I'm trying to kind of like all of those trying, pushing. All of those were those judgments, those stones that stop the flow. And I'm like, you know what? Let's stop that. Let's not cancel the class. Let's just open up the possibility that you start creating from fun and joy, and create, and you do only what you actually desire to do. She's like, okay, but I desire to go to the park. I desire to go on vacation. I'm like, just do that. She thought I was crazy. She thought that in this reality, you don't create like that. There are rules to marketing. There are rules to creation. I'm like, no, let's play. Let's have fun. Let's not, it's not even create. I'm trying to say it's stagnate, but trying to work. Let's not do the class. Let's create the class. And that's the difference between creation and doing. Guess what? That class had over 100 people in that. And it was such an ease to create it. It created itself because both of us chose to create and generate an institute from the lightness of space, from the lightness of being. And time flies. It's time for our second break of the show. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Inspired Choices Network. And we will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Magic and abundance are everywhere. What if you could tap into abundance and start creating your life with complete and total ease? Working with Dr. Helen Gitlevich will give you exactly that, total ease in creating abundance in your life. Dr. Gitlevich creates classes all over the world, both in person and online. She works with you to create abundance with your money, with your body, with your relationships, with all areas of your life with total ease. Connect with Dr. Helen Gitlevich at creatingabundancewithease.com. Her contribution in your world will be a noticeable gift in a very short period of time.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. And I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease on the Inspired Choices Network. And today our show topic is creation or stagnation. And we've talked a lot in the first two parts. If you're just joining me, I'm a medical doctor who actually was stagnating to the point of open heart surgery and chose totally different life as I do right now. I do classes around the world. I do private sessions, and you can find me on www.creatingabundancewithease.com or on Access Consciousness, and you can find me on pretty much most of the social medias. I have Facebook page, Creating Abundance with Ease. I also have personal page on Instagram. And you can always email me with any questions. And the podcast is every week on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And back to our show. As I said, we talked about light and heavy in the first part, that what's true makes you light, and expanding and creation is usually the truth, the light that creates a different reality. And stagnation is when you don't create, when you have judgments, when you stop the flow. And we talked about the water, the river, the difference between waterfalls and rivers where there is no stagnation. Well, some rivers actually do have stagnation when there is a lot of blocks to the river. Like if the river is blocked by the dam, or if the river is blocked by the stones, and by stones, I mean judgments. I'm talking about conclusions, computations, any point of view that is everywhere. We are, I just was reminded that we are on 120 different TV stations and over 200 podcast stations where you can find the archives, where it's over 100 different shows that I've done so far. So what if creation is the joy of life? And we touched on that in the second part of the show. Like, think about it. Every time when you are joyful, is that part when you're creating? Yes. And when you're creating, are you joyful? So what if by creation, I mean creation of your life as much as creation of everything in your life? And what if we start creating from joy, from fun, and especially from gratitude? This is a huge topic, gratitude, because you cannot create without gratitude. You have to be grateful for what you have, for what you are, for what you be. And that's when creation starts. If you're angry, if you're like any like depression, can you create? Or are you in a space, or actually, I wouldn't even call it space, I would call it state of stagnation? There is an emotional scale that measures the frequency of people when they have different emotions. When we look at the fear, anger, shame, blame, they're like in the 10s, 20s megahertz vibration, sometimes even less. When we're talking about love, gratitude, joy, fun, those are in the hundreds, like 500, 700, 800. That's the spaces of being. The lower vibration is the spaces of stagnation. It's pretty much when you're, and that's not to make you wrong if you are in that space. This is not to make anybody wrong when they are in that space. It's just recognizing what is. And now what do you choose? Okay, so you're in a stagnation phase of your life. I've been there, done it. Have a t-shirt to show for it. Seriously. After my surgery, I went into major depression. I couldn't function. I had anxieties, I had panic attacks, I didn't want to live. I literally was, I wouldn't say suicidal, but I wouldn't mind to die at that time. I actually was like very ready to go. The only thing was stopping me was my child. She was so small, she was 9 years old. And at some point, there was a moment of choice. And that was a moment of creation. I chose no matter what, but I'm going to be alive. That's when my recovery started. That's when I started getting out of the stagnation and started flowing with life. It took some effort, some doing, but it wasn't doing. It was more choosing. Okay, I'll choose that. I'll choose that. I'll have that. And that was the moment where it wasn't decision, oh, I am going to live, I'm going to be alive, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. No, I remember that clearly. I was sitting outside. It was the wonderful weather for Chicago. It's very unusual, but it was very comfortable outside. There was a little waterfall there, kind of like making some noise. And suddenly it's like, wait, life is precious. I'm going to choose that. I'm going to choose that joy, no matter what. But it wasn't from necessity. I have to. It was just a choice. How many things in life you have right now that you're not choosing? What if you look at them and look and see, does it still work for me? And choose from the space of joy. Is it giving me joy? And if it's a yes, keep it. If it's a no, what if you can let it go? What if you actually can allow yourself to let go of things, even people? What if the person in your life, like a friend, who might not be a friend, as we call them frenemies, like a friend who is actually more like an enemy than a friend, the frenemy, what if you'd be willing to let them go? What if you be willing to let go of anybody in your life? Doesn't mean that you will lose them. What if you choose something greater for you? Just for a second, imagine your life of total ease, joy, and glory. How would it look like? How would it feel like? Again, not from a space of expectation and judgment, but from the space of wonder, like a child. Hmm, what can I have in my life that will create something different? What if anything is possible? What if you could have $1 million? What if you can have $100 million? What if you had billions of dollars? What would you create with that? That's actually my invitation. Write down a list of things you could create with $100 million every year income or more, whatever you choose, and see how many of those things actually require money and how many of them you can start creating now. What if it's that simple? Choice creates much more than we can possibly imagine. What if you could give up the stagnation of the judgment? What if you stop judging you and your life? What if you stop judging, oh, that's impossible. Oh, that's impossible to have 100 millions of dollars a year. What if it's the biggest lie? What if money is easy? How much are you limiting your life by the judgments that you have in your life? I'm going to leave you with that and go on the fourth break of the show, or actually third. Sorry, my math is off. So this is the third break of our show. And we return, we'll talk more about it or not. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Inspired Choices Network. We will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease on Inspired Choices Network. And today our show topic is creation or stagnation. And during the previous segments, we were talking about the tools of light and heavy. We were talking tools about stopping the flow with judgment and how we can actually let go of that so the river of our lives can flow easier and we can start creating our life instead of stagnating it. And we have only a few minutes left of the show. Just a reminder that we are there every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. and 12 o'clock Eastern. And wherever you are in the world, you can always check the time according to you. But you can also listen for recordings in the podcasts pretty much on almost every or on every podcast station, iTunes, Spotify, and on demand where you listen to all the shows. You can go to 120 TV stations or on the app, Inspired Choices Network, where you can listen on demand, you can listen to archive, you can listen to everything. And also, if you're curious about sessions or classes, you can contact me through email, through website, Creating Abundance with Ease, on social media. The nearest classes are coming up. There's a Money Marathon in Russian. There's going to be different classes, body classes in Taiwan, body classes in Ukraine. So just check on the website or contact me. You can also sign up for reminders about the podcasts on Inspired Choices Network website. There's so many ways to contact me. And we create a different reality with the tools. A lot of times in private sessions, we look at where you're blocking your creation. Sometimes it could be based on your karma. And what is karma? It's pretty much your past that you solidified and living out of all those judgments again. Unfinished business. Unfinished business is still a lot of it is solidification that stops the flow of creation. So what if we can clear it? What if we can let it go? And what if choice is what allows us to clear it with such an ease? Sometimes we need to use tools like clearing statement, like maybe expansion. And when you expand, it allows us to look at things from a different perspective. And as I said, we have only a few minutes left. So in kind of not conclusion, but right now, I would like to do an expansion exercise. Let's drop our barriers and expand. Just expand maybe to the size of the room. And if you want the full expansion exercise meditation, you can download it from my website, Creating Abundance with Ease. And that will put you on my email list where you can be notified of all the classes, all the events, all the free events that I'm doing. And you can unsubscribe anytime if you don't desire it. So let's expand first to the size of the room, then to the size of maybe your town. Let's go maybe 10 kilometers, 10 miles, 100 kilometers, 100 miles, because depending on where you live, that's a measurement you're used to. So it doesn't matter what you use, kilometers, miles, just go out like a sphere. 1,000 miles, make yourself as big as the whole earth. And bigger, make yourself as a solar system. And bigger, make yourself as the whole universe. And bigger. Oh, how do you feel right now? A little lighter? I am. So with that expansion, look at all the problems you have in your life. Are they as big now from that space? It's just like looking from Sears Tower or Willis Tower right now. In Chicago, 104th floor down to the street level, you see just a tiny little cars, tiny little people. So from the space of expansion of the universe, how big are your problems right now? Not that big. Now look at all the judgments that you have of yourself or other people have of you? Are they significant now? How big are they? Oh, tiny, little tiny things. Now expand even more. And what if you could create from that space? How much more movement of energy is here? When you're that big, when you're that expanded, stagnation is impossible. That's where creation is. What if it's that simple? Anytime when you find yourself in a stagnation, what do I mean? When you feel angry, when you blame, shame, regret, when you're depressed, when you're anxious, all those are feelings and emotions that are part of the blocks and limitations you have in your life, meaning that the flow has stopped somewhere. So when you expand, it actually allows you to move the energy more freely. What if it's that simple? When you find yourself stuck, no choice. Well, let's put it this way. When you say you don't have a choice, that's still a choice not to have a choice. I had a hard time with that. And yet, that's the truth of it. When we choose not to have a choice, when we're stuck, when we choose, that means we choose stagnation over creation. And that's a choice. It's not to judge you or me or anybody else. It's just where we are. If you're choosing stagnation, that's fine. If other people choose stagnation, that's fine too. And if you choose creation and other people choose stagnation, don't judge them, but don't stay in a cesspool with them. I'll say it again. Don't go and swim in a swamp or cesspool where the stagnation is. Get out, clean up, and choose something different. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. Is a mantra of access consciousness. And what if you just choose to say it? And what if by saying it, the vibration of the mantra can get you a little bit higher on the vibrational scale? What if you choose to be grateful? And that will get you much higher. What if you just say, thank you, universe, for being alive? Thank you. Thank you, phone, for being here with me. Thank you, computer, for allowing me to record the show today. Thank you, Christine and Inspired Choices Network, for allowing me to have the show there. How much greater energy is gratitude? What if we choose create with joy, create with gratitude, create with just a choice of being? How much more the world will be a different place and different space? What if every one of us choose the space of creation instead of stagnation? And then allow other people to choose stagnation if they choose. And our show is coming to the end. I'm so grateful for you listening to it now or in the future, anytime, any place. And we'll see you somewhere, maybe online, maybe live. Bye-bye.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating magic in your life and your body.